All right, Darren Smith back with you as we roll along. Hour number 2, taking you up until 3 o'clock. Scott and Billy Ray at that time. Let's have our weekly conversation with Brian Dutcher. He is the associate head coach, the head coach in waiting at San Diego State. Speaking of being in waiting, everybody is waiting for the Aztecs to get back out there on the court. You like that, Dutch? That's what you call a segue.
Absolutely. We're excited. After a long layoff, we are ready to get back into action.
Yeah. Give us the benefit to this, because it seems like it's been a really long time since we've seen you last out there on the court against Washington.
You know, the benefit is when you don't have an opponent, you focus on yourselves a lot more. You know, when you're getting ready for the next game, you're like spending a portion of practice. Here's what their offense is. Here's what we have to stop. And you prepare for the opponent. But when you have a long layoff, you say, well, we don't have an opponent. Let's just get ourselves better in these areas. And so it's all about the Aztecs over the last 6 or 7 days leading into the Southern Utah game.
See, that surprises me because, you know, I wasn't sure. I know in the NFL sometimes they use the break to look ahead. I know even in golf, and these are apples and oranges here, but, you know, you'll see the tournaments before the majors. Golfers will use that as tune-ups, and they'll start hitting similar shots to what they think they're going to hit in the next and upcoming major. So for you guys, it hasn't been about practicing stuff that you might want to use against Kansas or in conference play, none of that?
Well, offensively, obviously, it always is because, you know, our plays are our plays. We're trying to fine-tune them, you know, make sure we set the screens on time, make sure we wait for the screens, and it's about fixing ourselves offensively. And then defensively, it's not specific to an opponent. It's more like when we get ready for a game, Scott, it's how are we going to play the ball screens? That's always seems to be a thing in college basketball. You know, we try to play different ways of playing the ball screen with our own defense. Mm-hmm. And so there's a lot of translation to our future opponents, but it's mostly about just getting ourselves right in that 10-day break. And like I said, today we'll spend some time on Southern Utah, but up until this point, it's been all Aztec basketball.
We're talking to Brian Dutcher, the associate head coach and the head coach in waiting. San Diego State's going to be playing tomorrow night against Southern Utah. I would think if there's one player off the top of my head who probably most benefited, this is probably not a big secret here, it would be J.J. O'Brien. How beneficial has it been for him in healing with the wrist?
You know, we've tried to not give J.J. a lot of live contact in this period, which is good. We've tried to rest it a little bit. You know, he's shooting. He's doing some dummy offense in that, but we've made sure we didn't want to get the hand hit again, let it go through its healing process. So I think JJ's getting better. I think we'll leave him in the protective covering for the next couple of games just to make sure that by the time we get to conference opener January 1 at Colorado State, that we can hopefully get him out of the protective covering and get his hand where he can play without a brace.
Something that just might stick around all year. You know, you think about certain areas of the body, and certainly for a basketball player, you'd think about the wrist there. It's just something he's going to have to manage, it seems like, all season long?
I hope not. I hope it's feeling good enough, but you know how that is, Scott. You're always one hit or one fall away from re-aggravating something. So hopefully that we've let it rest enough, we kept it immobile, and to the point where we get him back, that it's going to be feeling good and he'll be 100%. When we need him the most, obviously, which is conference play.
We're talking to Brian Dutcher, San Diego sports leader. It's the Mighty 1090. You know, you brought up your defense there and ball screens, and, you know, that's the one area I think that you'd look at and you'd say, wow, you know, taking a pause here and looking at the first 8 games of the season, you guys have been 14th nationally, points per game allowed at 61.1. You feel like you can get better defensively than what we've seen through the first 8?
I think we have to get better defensive rebounding. I think we give up too many second shots. Our initial defense is great, and then we give them a second opportunity. So I think we can definitely become a better defensive rebounding team. I think we're good offensive rebounding, but we got to get better defensive rebounding. Keep the guards in from leaking out and having them pick up some of the long rebounds that the bigs can't get to. And then I think we've done a good job of not fouling. You know, that's a real thing with the way they're calling college basketball this year. We have like the dream stat as a coach, and that's that we have made as many free throws as our opponents have taken. We've made 150 free throws through the first 8 games, and our opponents have shot 152. So that's winning basketball.
That's a statistic that it just popped up, or something that you actually set forth as a goal?
That's always, I mean, I don't know if we set it as a goal. Obviously, we want to get to the line more than our opponents. But if you look over the course of basketball, if you look at good teams, they generally get to the line a lot more than their opponents. And the key stat is if you make more than your opponents shoot. And we're right at that number right now. We've taken 219. Our opponents have taken 152. So what we're doing is we're doing a good job defending without fouling. And that's been a real key to the early success we've had.
What other statistics do you guys pay attention to?
A lot of it is not as much numbers, it's percentages. You know, it's like offensive rebounds. I think we're getting 37% of our misses. We'd like to get into the 42% of our misses, somewhere up near 50. That would be really good, might lead the country. Defensive rebounding percentage, I think we're giving up maybe 38, 40%. So that's not good. So we need to cut that way down. So it's not the whole number. It's not the number of rebounds. It's percentage of possessions, and that's stuff we kind of look at.
What about plus minus?
We don't really do a whole lot of plus minus with individual players. I know the NBA always does that and is big on that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not myself a big plus minus guy. I know different guys in the office look at different stats, and it's like numbers. You can make them say whatever you want at times, and so we try to pay attention to them, but we don't lose out in the most important number, and that's wins.
It's funny, too, because in baseball, obviously, in the last 10, 15 years, Coach, you know this, there's been a big statistical evolution, some people would call it, others would say revolution in the sport with Moneyball and some of the other stuff. And it seems like some of that, we're starting to hear more and more about that in basketball. Have you noticed that about your sport? Maybe if it's even only at the NBA level, which means it's just a matter of time before it gets to the college level. Have you noticed more and more people using different types of metrics and statistics to gauge the sport?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And the thing is, you don't have to sit here and do your calculations. You can go to these websites, and they've got your offensive efficiency, defensive efficiency. They've got everything broke down for you. So if you don't want to sit there and do the calculations yourself, which we do, you can go on a website and you can find out what your efficiency level is at darn near everything.
Interesting. Brian Dutcher joining us on the Mighty 1090. All right. Southern Utah coming up tomorrow night. Then over the weekend, you see McNeese State.
Yep.
St. Catherine's College. And I bring this up in advance because we won't get a chance to chat you up before you get into conference play at Colorado State and then the Kansas game as well. The next 3 games here. I know you're taking them one game at a time like every other great coach. But give us an idea. What do these next 3 games mean for you guys leading into the start of conference play?
The fact that we're ranked right now, Darren, is great. And if we can win these next 3 games, I think we'll stay in the rankings heading into the new year. And that's always a positive. I think we're the only Mountain West team that's ranked right now nationally. So if we can do a good job on our home floor, win the next 3, which we should be expected to win, we'll go into the conference with a 10-1 record and go on the road and play Colorado State and then at Kansas. And so obviously it'll get a lot tougher once we take it on the road. But we feel good about where we're at right now. We want to take care of business at home. We give ourselves a chance to go ranked into the new year.
You okay at the end of the year if I tell you that Xavier Thames is leading you in both scoring and assists?
Absolutely. I would take that in a second. There's so many. Point guard is the hardest position to pick for people. Some want a pass-first point guard. Some want a scoring point guard. Some like a big point guard. Some like a small, quick point guard. And there's a different flavor for getting that job done there. Right now, Xavier's done a good job of really being a scoring point guard. He moves the ball. He'll get the assist if it's there. But right now, he's averaging 18 points a game for us. He's shooting, 50-some% from 3, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And so he's done an outstanding job of putting in the basket. So obviously, as defenses know that, they're going to scheme to him. They're going to double him on ball screens. They're going to try to take the ball out of his hands. And at that point, he's got to do a good job of putting in the position to get others to be more successful at the offensive end when he faces a double team, to move the ball and get a good shot for somebody else.
Do you guys have team captains?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And I know the 3 guys that go out before every game for the handshakes and meet with the officials are J.J. O'Brien, obviously Xavier Thames, and then AQ Aquil. So he goes out there and they're the 3 that go out there and meet with the officials before the game. And so I don't know if it's elected or the team feels those are the 3 guys they went out there. I don't know if we've ever really had a vote. Obviously, the team has confidence, and those are the three guys feel like they are leading the team.
So how do they become captains then? If they're not appointed, there's no vote?
You know what? That's an interesting question. I think it goes a lot of different ways. I think this is more of the team preference here. I don't know if we voted. I don't think, obviously, coaches' vote outweighs everyone's, but I would say if you were to say who are the three captains, those are our three captains.
Has Coach Fisher ever anointed captains? Has he ever said, hey, listen, these are going to be my guys?
I think he may have put a strong influence on the voting procedure. He may tell him, hey, I think there's without question we know that this guy should be a captain, and I know you all feel the same way. So let's vote. So I don't really know. I think it goes year to year.
So he rigs the election? That's what you're saying about Coach Fisher?
No, not rigs the election. He voices his opinion, and then they vote. So I don't think we had a vote this year. I think everybody knows, you earn that. I mean, it's not something that the guys, they work in the summer, they work in the weight room, they lead the team on the floor, and I think it's kind of somewhat of a given that leaders emerge. I don't think you have to put a label on them and say, if the team doesn't know they're a good leader, then they're not gonna. There's no sense of having a vote. These guys have kind of established themselves as the voice for the team, the guys that set the trend both through their actions and their words, and I think these three guys are the ones that are our captains. What is
the captain? What kind of privilege does the captain get? Does he get to pick the music in the locker room?
I think he's the first one to get yelled at when things don't go well. So I don't know if it's a privilege or not. So no, I don't know. I don't know if there's a privilege of being a captain other than the respect of your teammates and coaches.
All right, fair enough. Like I said, we don't hear about that an awful lot in basketball. Hey, Coach, we're not going to get a chance to chat between now and the end of the year, so at least not on the radio. So thank you very much for the time, and we will talk to you in a couple of weeks. Good luck here in the next stretch of games that you guys have.
Thanks, Darren.